Do I clap too?
You can.
No.
It's
Yeah, no,
optional.
true.
Yeah, clap with us. 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Nice.
All right, should we do this thing?
Yeah, I'll go off of you.
Okay.
Welcome to
Witchcast.
'Cause it's Witchcast.
I'm Emily,
I'm Kate.
and we are your hosts of this, the Witchcast podcast.
That's right. We are your novice, learning, growing, witchy, spiritual, goo goddesses.
Lady
Learning
Gaga
to-
fan.
Lady
Goo Gaga. Just
Team
doing our
Bae,
best in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, just learning everything we can under the vast spirituality umbrella.
Yeah, that's right. Any and all. That's what we say around here. We believe it all.
And sometimes we bring in expert guests who know things more than us and talk to them. And we're really excited to bring back a guest we had a couple seasons ago. She is a doer of all things, a registered NADA trainer, a yoga teacher. She also specializes in ear acupuncture and self acupressure. Melissa Soong.
Yay. Thanks for having me. I just yayed for myself.
Yay, yes.
Someone's got to, right?
You have to.
I'm learning. I'm
Self
trying to
yay.
learn to like be more like I can
yay
do
me.
stuff and be more confident, you know. So
It's
I'm gonna yay
it's
for
a
myself.
learning
Absolutely.
curve, you know.
I think it's a radical act to be self-confident and self-promoting, especially as a woman, especially as a person of color. You know, I think that's important. So go, yay you.
Yeah, no, I mean, even in trying to like do your own business, right? Like it's really hard. And I'm like, wait, how much of this am I socialized to not be good at this? And to really think about that too. And I'm just like, oh my God, I have to just keep going.
It's a spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like when you're a cartoon character and you run off a cliff and then you look down and once you see that you're off the cliff, you fall. That's how I feel a lot of the time about like as long as I don't look down, the confidence is there.
Like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, like Wile E. Coyote, I can just keep going.
Yeah. I just try and channel Lizzo. Anytime I feel a little insecure, I'm just like, what would Lizzo do? And that's how I that's how I keep going.
Honestly, beautiful. No notes.
I like that. I really
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And she's not perfect. She has definitely moments of vulnerability and weakness like any other human, but I think in my mind, the Lizzo I've created in my mind is very unapologetically human, you know? And I
But
think
that
that's
is
great.
perfect, right?
Yeah.
We're like perfectly imperfect. And like the best leaders in my mind are people who are able to show that they're vulnerable. Because it's that faking it that like makes it so hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So perfectly imperfect.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mel, the last time we saw you or talked to you was March 7th, 2020, I think, or sometime around then.
What has happened? Where has the time gone?
Where has the time gone?
Who are we even? Who are we now?
Yeah.
Like, what is this
No idea.
world?
What a wild ride we've all been on.
Such a pride. I'd like to get off, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't. I know. Seatbelt strapped in. No choice on that one. You've signed a consent form.
Yeah.
You're on it. Yes.
It's great to see you again. And we've been following you on Instagram through all of it, and it feels like we've been in touch. And you did the great recording for our holiday episode. But welcome back. What have you been up to? How's life?
Thank you. I know. What have I been up to? I mean, we were talking about the survival aspect of things, right?
Yeah.
And then how do we deal with stress personally, and then when we see others kind of reaching their limit, and what do we do?
Yeah.
And how are we going to reemerge in this world?
I think, there was that pressure of like, oh, use this time to your advantage. You're creative. Like William Shakespeare wrote King Lear during a epidemic. Like you can be productive too. And there's that weird kind of capitalist mindset that we have, I think, as creators of like, oh, we need to take advantage of this time or we need to come out of this time having, accomplished so much and have become a better, different person and use this time at home. But I also found that most of the time my focus was literally just on survival, like, in the most
Right.
privileged way, but just, like, trying to get through the day.
Right. And but that mindset of like, what did you do? Like, it's also how we got here, right? To being burned out, to how like just like work, how work can be so terrible. And
Yeah.
so because when you're talking about that, I think like that is exactly why everyone's so stressed out and in their bodies so stressed out. That's like super young, right? Do, act, fix, all that. And so, what I'm trying to teach or trying to really embrace, especially in the winter, because it's a very yin time, is like, is yin. So, yin is like rest. Yin is not weak, right? It's seen as weak because it's associated with the feminine, it's associated with the moon, but it's actually like very strong and enduring, like this idea of like feminine energy. And I just learned about Imbolc, right? So, and I know you've had
Yeah.
your episode, but like that's super yin too, right? Think about the moon, or like is like lambing season, right? Like this, like the rebirth of things,
Right, like the
and the
quiet before things
stillness.
sprout, like but there's work that
Yeah.
happens in that, you know?
Right. So it's like in embracing yin, you're not doing nothing, but you're maybe recharging your batteries, or you're like, this that about to give like birth to whatever your creative project is, right? And stuff like that. So maybe I'm trying to really think that we need more of that energy than the do and achieve, and like what have you done in these past 2 years, or like how have you recharged? And it's been really hard, right? Because people have had to literally survive,
Yeah.
and then there's fear attached to that, and the trauma that maybe we really are very aware of, and we're like, everything's fine. And like, this is like a latent, like, we're really not okay. Right. So that's something also to think about, that
Yeah.
I've kind of been thinking about. Right.
Yeah,
So
totally.
lately, I guess what I've been thinking about, and especially because I hope, and or we're really seeing it, is just like burnout. And so how can we help? And I'm talking mostly about the workplace, right? Like the people who are just burned out, and like what can someone like me provide or help with as far as intervention. So that's where the ear acupuncture, and then the yoga and breathing and self acupressure, all of these are like tools to hopefully offer and teach that people can think about. I don't even know. Do people know what their tools are? Like, I guess in this time I've been working on what are my tools? How can I help teach them? Um, Very much so. And even more like resolve to, even if I thought staff burnout was important to me before all of this, as a former social worker and program director,
Mhm.
having experienced it myself, or like trying to help guide staff through that, or preventing burnout, or just working through it, uh, or recognizing it, I really feel very strongly about that
Yeah.
now. So, but I have more tools now, I realize, because of all of what I've been doing in the past 2 years. So, yeah, I did ask you, both of you, what are your tools? Like when you are starting to feel stressed out, or you're reaching that point, what do you reach for? What can you do to help care for yourself?
That's a great question. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Kate, do you have anything I don't know, how do you feel? What do you think?
I feel like there's always two sides of me, in conversation. I won't say at war, but, there's, like, one side that very much wants to reach for the lowest hanging fruit, right? Like, the easiest, most immediate satisfaction, response type of vice, whether
Hmm.
that's drugs or alcohol or food, junk
French
food.
fries,
Oh
right?
my god,
Yeah.
like, that's one thing that's really bad is, like, both my husband and I love bad food, like like fast food, junk food. Like we're really, and we both use food as as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So, and I grew up in a family that uses food as a coping mechanism. So that's been a really interesting challenge. And on the other hand, though, through Emily and I work, talking to amazing people and learning and growing through this podcast and our own spiritual practices, it's like, but I also know that like I feel really good after I exercise or go for a walk, or I feel really good when I meditate or when I journal or do something artistic, like just color. And I know there are kind of like higher vibrational things that I can use that will make me feel better in the long run. It's just choosing those over the lower vibrational ones are the ones that are maybe going to hurt me more so. That's the difficult balance I've been playing with in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I think that's been a lot of the pandemic is like, I don't know, facing the things that you go to when it's like, I'm really like struggling and it's like, yeah, like, is it alcohol sometimes? Is it like, and then having to move past that and figure out like, okay, this isn't actually making me feel better. So what are the things I can do that can actually make long-term change for me? And yeah, and for me, it's like going outdoors more. I didn't go outdoors a lot for like the first few months of the pandemic, and that really wreaked havoc on my health. And same with like not working out because when the gyms closed, I didn't really have a backup plan. So I had to figure that out. But also I was just not feeling up to it a lot of the time. And I had to kind of like figure out how to change how I thought about it or how I felt in order to like get that energy back in order to even do the things that would get the energy back, which is just like, but so now I do yoga, I do cardio, I go for walks, and I try to eat healthier and I try to drink less. And it turns out a lot of non-alcoholic beers are pretty good now. So just FYI, if anybody out there is wondering. um, and I drink
Nice.
a lot of tea and I say no to more things. And that's really my big thing, except that I don't,
Ooh,
except that I promise myself that I will. And then sometimes I do, and then sometimes I don't because it's just not a straight line of progress. But in theory, I know that one of the things I can do is give myself more time and that really helps.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because as we like reemerge or try to get back to quote unquote normal, that's like there are more opportunities to do things, right? So you were forced to say no, and then feel that rush of like why it was hard to say no.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even just the practice of saying what your tools are out loud or writing it down, I think is really powerful. And if we get anything out of these past 2 years, maybe it really is like what is our pattern and how can we identify what is healthy for us,
Yeah.
right? And even in knowing what is like what are easy the low hanging fruit, right? Like as long as we know it, then that's really amazing just to know, right? Having that consciousness, and then you
Yeah.
have a choice, right? Rather than just like be kept in the cycle of like you're completely out of control and you're just in this cycle. I don't know. It's just something that the one thing I want to have like a positive take on for the past 2 years is that we can emerge with more self-knowledge and more tools if
Yeah.
if we've kind of taken that look. And I think, I guess, for people who have been working so hard, right, whether it's like frontline workers, nurses, stuff like that, may have not had that time to look at this, right, because they're just like firing all engines. And I hope that, I mean, I just hear stories of people like friends of friends and stuff like that. People are just reaching their limit, their end, and or just like someone is like, "You've reached. This is not okay. You
Yeah.
can't do. We cannot do this anymore." Like, or your body is like, "I can't do this anymore." Like, so at some point, something is going to really give you that signal. And yeah, I guess it's often the body that's just like, "We can't do this anymore."
Yeah. I would love
So
to
yeah.
what would I feel like I know a lot of people that are in exactly that position right now. What you've worked with burnout as as a focus. What would you say to people that are still working 14-hour days and are, so far past burnout and yet still doing it? Like what do they do? How do we help
I
them?
know that's I know that's really hard because it's like, can you even take a break from work? That's the crux of things. People are probably firing on all engines because they can't. And
Mhm.
that's like a overarching issue beyond that person, right? Beyond that
Mm.
person
Yeah.
and their job. It's like there is a reason why somebody is like headed towards complete and total burnout. So I've really wanted to, and maybe there's hope for this, is to really work with like work environments. Like
Mhm.
you have to put staff self-care as part of your work environment as a priority. And if you didn't before this, maybe now is a really good time and to really look at that. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to have hope for that and I'm trying to kind of prepare for that because I think that like what I do is very like well matched with stuff like that just to work with I would say my strength is to really work with people individually like on a one-on-one basis just because I'm an introvert and as a social worker that was kind of my work one-on-one but I mean I like groups too but to really help someone identify what their tools are, to kind of walk them through some things that I can help teach them, or even, we were going to talk about the NADA protocol, the ear acupuncture is nonverbal, and how important is nonverbal healing? I don't know how much we
Mm,
explore that at all,
yeah.
especially in Western society, right? I mean, maybe, I just think that nonverbal healing is really important, or even forest bathing, right? That idea of, Emily, you were talking about being with nature. Like, if you look up Montauk Chia, he has these illustrations in his books of like the energy that's flowing between the person and the tree and how the tree absorbs the negative energy, right? If you believe in negative energy. So there's a lot of nonverbal healing out there that can happen
Right.
that I'm a big fan of.
Yeah. Uh,
That's really interesting.
yeah. That actually, I want to ask. So, first of all, can you explain for our listeners what the NADA protocol is? And then, two, I want to hear about how you ended up getting into it and what you've been doing with that.
Yes. So the NADA protocol is a 5-point ear acupuncture protocol. So it's 5 needles in each ear.
Hmm.
And it has its roots in the 60s and the 70s with the Black Panthers and the Young Lords, who were, not unlike now, people of color in kind of poor urban communities and even poor rural communities, not being taken care of by the overarching, like we fill in the blank, right? So at this time, it was dealing with opioids and getting off of methadone. That like our communities are sick, whether it's on dope or it's on methadone, which is just another form of that. So they were studying what the Chinese were doing. I believe it was for opium addiction and using acupuncture for that. So through their practices, they identified these 5 points, and so that's been standardized, and that's the NADA protocol. So the important parts about the NADA protocol, or just the ear acupuncture, or the practice of it in general, is that it's done in community, right? So you might see like a group of people sitting in a circle or in a room. They're receiving ear acupuncture. The treatment's often anywhere from like 20 to 30 minutes. It's nonverbal. It's meant to be non-hierarchical and done in community. And it's mostly, especially in New York, in settings legally in settings for substance abuse issues. So I work at a harm reduction clinic, and we have a holistic department, and so this is where we offer ear acupuncture for the community. But really, it's universal, right? It's about stress. You think about why
Right.
do people use or pick up? It's a
Mhm.
universal reason, which is stress. So I do think this is for everybody, and that everyone can benefit from it. And then when you see people like it's trendy now with the ear seeds,
Mm,
that's like that's part of that too, right? So instead of the needles in the
hmm.
ear, you can put the ear seeds in the 5 points. It's actually the four because one of them is kind of hard to get to with the ear seed. And yeah, it's also meant to be very low threshold, right? So in the trainings, it's not, you don't have to go to like a full program licensed acupuncturist program, which can take years and
Right.
like
Yeah.
tens of thousands of dollars. It's meant to be very accessible for the community. You're not supposed to charge a whole lot, if at all. Um, so I would recommend the documentary Dope is Death.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
the Vice documentary?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, it's a documentary in itself, but Vice picked it up and is showing
Oh,
it
cool,
on
cool,
you
cool.
through their YouTube. And actually next week it's I think throughout the upcoming year there'll be screenings throughout the city, throughout the country, throughout the world, because people are really taking a look at the opioid crisis now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
which is
what
crazy because this has been going on, like you said, since the '60s and '70s. It was kind of when it really kicked off
Right, and people
in the
lost
US.
their lives
Yeah.
practicing this. That's, like, not lost on me, right? This is you know how you were I forgot what you said, but it was like, it's radical oh, yeah, it's radical to
To take
advocate for
care.
yourself,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And so
Mhm.
it's this is, like, radical, like, healing is to provide something that's not a medication, to provide something that's for the people, right?
Mhm.
And that in the advocacy back then, people they were followed, like, they were surveilled, people lost their lives,
Wow.
Right.
yeah, this is in ways we almost I it's easy to be like, "Oh, we take wellness for granted now," but this was really something that was radical back then and has its roots in activism.
Yeah.
And how much of that holds true now? I'm trying to think about that.
Wow.
Like,
That's
is
a really
wellness
good
and
point, yeah.
healing for everybody? Or is
Yeah.
it for people, like, who fit into whatever category and have whatever income and disposable income, stuff like that? So, I guess the
Right.
important part or what I've been trying to do is to make it accessible, right? Whether it's like, "You can do this," or like, "Hey, workplace, you should maybe offer this."
Yeah. Pay people who know it and are trained in it. I think that's a really big question that comes up so much within the witchy, witchcraft, spiritual kind of culture that has become so popular now and so mainstream. And Emily and I think have seen it, especially just over the course of this podcast's life, how much it's gone from something that was kind of, a little bit more in the echelons of society, a little bit more kind of quote unquote
Like a
edgier.
little
And
fringe.
then now yeah, we go fringe. That's the word. And then, we can go now into regular big box department stores and they have witch sections. It's
Well, and
insane. What
witches lost their lives back then
exactly?
too, right? That's
Yes.
another, like, just a crazy kinda thought, like, "Oh, and but now this is marketing."
Right. Well, and
Like
it's
Right. But
also,
now
I
it's
mean, and
capitalist.
who's it marketing to and like all the,
Right.
because also a lot of these traditions are not just from like, there
Right.
it's
That's
it's pooling things from a bunch of different cultures that have been, not treated well and then putting them in crate and barrel is not exactly,
right.
necessarily a positive progress for the world.
Like using white sage or, or like Palo Santo. There's so much cultural history behind all of these kind of things that have become now over generations kind of watered down and passed around. And so I do think it is important to look at the history of where, these things come from and what it means for the people generations past and our ancestors and honestly not even that long ago. So that's why I think also people get kind of up in arms about cultural appropriation, because it you don't we don't want to, I think, ignore and erase that history of the struggle and the oppression that has come before and is still happening today.
Right. I mean, so much
Yeah.
of what this podcast is about, I feel like, or has been about at different periods, is just like that witchcraft isn't a thing. There is no one witchcraft. Witchcraft is the
Right.
label that was repeatedly given to a bunch of different cultures when they were not what the like whatever colonizing or patriarchal or whatever forces, Christian forces a lot of the time didn't it was whatever was threatening their power, that became
Mhm.
witchcraft. And so yeah.
I meet a lot of witches, through NADA, right? Through practicing, whether it's people who volunteer, people who want to learn it. They're either like their other job is they're like clinical herbalists or they're acupuncturists or they do
Right.
Reiki. Like there is that, like just exactly what you're saying. It's just this like meeting of amazing souls. Actually, I've
Yeah.
met some really great people through
That's
this.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
who
yeah.
really do see like this I'm doing this because this should be for everybody. I want to help offer this to my community. There are people really like on the fringe not getting any type of help and maybe this may help somebody. Or the other thing like it's an entryway into help, especially if it's
Mhm.
in a agency and organization, someone might come in for wellness, right? Ear acupuncture or ear seeds or something else, and then maybe they're more likely like to talk to somebody else, like on staff, like a social worker or a counselor or something like that. It like think helps to build trust. So it plays many roles, many
Yeah.
things, and there's many ways to look at it. So.
Yeah, it's so cool what
I
you're
think
doing.
that
I mean, oh, sorry, Kate, go.
no, that's okay. You go
I
ahead.
I was just gonna say that it is. I mean, it's crazy to think about people getting, you know, in trouble or losing their lives over this kind of thing. But it does go hand in hand with that idea of like democratizing wellness because it's so, to take something that is charged for and make it something that is available to people that are not necessarily being taken care of by systems is a radical and positive thing that you can do. But it's radical, in its own way.
Yeah, and even like in the past 2 years, we had to kind of choose what is our activism, right?
Hmm.
As we're becoming more conscious of things, right? Like, oh, this is all happening. It's all in our face, and we need to figure out what are we going to do about it. I mean, we don't have to, but this is what I was thinking. Like, what is my lane for activism? Um,
Mhm.
and so this really was something that I was like, I can do this. And so, especially when things were shut down, me and the person who trained me went out into the park and offered this to just the people in the park, you know.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
I
yeah,
thought that
And were
was,
and
yeah.
people open to that? Oh, sorry.
Nope, sorry.
yeah, but were people open to this?
Yeah,
Yes,
what was that experience like, were people interested and
yeah. Well, some people were people that we knew through past work, and then there's some level of like needing to engage with people and explain what we're doing and always like yeah I'm down, or people are familiar with it, right? Either they used to receive it or they're like, oh, I know someone who does that, stuff like that, like yeah. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm.
I thought that was so cool. I mean, I follow your I follow your Instagram. But like I just saw like I felt like from very early on in the pandemic, you were like out in the world and engaging with people, even when people were very scared to do that. And I was really admiring of you for doing that. And I don't know, what was going through your head? How are you feeling? Like what?
Well, it was that, right? It was that like what am I going to do? What is my form of activism?
Mhm.
Because beyond like going out and marching and yelling, right, which was very necessary and is still necessary, I realized how much of like an introvert I am. Right? Like that was hard for me, and I did it, and I was like really glad to do it. But also like once people started to kind of go back in or go back, they have to go back to work, stuff like that. I was like, what can I do that's sustainable, that like suits my nature a little bit more, that is still very, very important. So yeah, I mean, it's like in reemerging, people remember their first time back on the subway, right? I don't know if you guys have this, or you ladies have this experience. It's just like doing what you used to do, but it's like different or harder, and or you're more conscious of like the tens of thousands of other things that you're now more conscious of when you used to do something you used to do. I know that sounds
Mhm.
just like a lot, but
No, that sounds right.
it sounds about right,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
that's kind of, I was just doing all of that at the same time and just getting reacclimated to going back to work in a retail setting and just being in like the public or on the subway. And so going out into the park and engaging with people in outdoor setting, doing stuff that I love and meeting people who are super passionate about what they loved, and all of it, we're all just learning from each other. That was easy. That was
Yeah.
actually easier, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that
Than
makes sense.
working in a yeah, doing working in a retail setting, like trying to figure out what's safe and not safe. Was harder than going out into the park and like and doing that. So yeah, and then just working to adapt to things. I think I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned the last time, but I was learning Tai Chi when I first met with you for the other episode.
Mhm.
And since then, my teacher had passed away,
I'm sorry to
which
hear that.
is like makes me very sad. Yeah,
Mm.
but during the pandemic, during lockdown, I like because he's an elder, and I was like, I need to speak to him. Like it's important to keep in touch, especially with elders who might be isolated. But he definitely
Mhm.
was not isolated. He had a lot of people in his life. But I was like, as an act of discipline, I'm gonna call. Let's talk every day, like during the weekdays. And you could just be like, I don't want to talk today. It's fine, but I'm gonna call you at 10 o'clock every day during the weekdays for like however long. And it ended up being a year. And I was like, we're gonna talk about chi. We're gonna have chi chats. We're just gonna talk about whatever. And a lot of it was about his life.
Cheetos, I
And
love that.
yeah, yeah, chi chats. I wanted that to be like a show, like a talk
Yes,
show.
it needs to be.
Yeah, and I prayed predominantly because I wanted to just talk to him and listen to
Mm.
him. And a lot of our conversations, I did get what I wanted actually, because through these pandemic chi chats, and just to hear about like what it was like to grow up uptown in Harlem, to grow up in the 60s and 70s and coming of age, or just even just like what was it like um, during all of the activism during then, and especially with the backdrop of what was happening
Right. Yeah.
in 2020. um and then also the health, and trying to keep your immune system up, and even just what we do, why are we even doing what we're doing if we're not prepared for this,
Mhm.
right? That's kind of what the theme was. Like, we have the tools to deal with something like this, and to help guide others who are receptive, because receptivity is always an issue when you're teaching things. And I'm sure in all of the people that you interview, receptivity is an issue for whoever they're working with, or just the public. um that what else are we doing if we're not prepared for this? So that was really kind of a cool way I spent 2020, was talking to him
Wow.
on the
That's
phone
such an
about chi.
interesting question. I think that's something everything you've just said absolutely resonates, and I know especially when Black Lives Matters really kind of had its resurgence in the summer of 2020, and we, I think, as a national society had to kind of re-examine again the systems in which we are failed by. That's the right
Yeah.
word to say. I think that's something that I struggle with a lot too, is because I think the systems that we have in place that have been created over decades and generations are fundamentally wrong. And I think that,
Yeah.
and flawed. And I think that, you as speaking to how can I help, you very much are a healer. And I think when I look back at other revolutions, other cultures, the ones that are targeted, that are killed or silenced, are healers, are educators and artists and journalists, right? Like, I think those are always kind of the top groups of people that are seen as the most threat, because those who work outside of the system, or who seek to dismantle it or challenge it, are always the ones that are going to be at most um a threat to the system itself. And so that's something that I, as someone who works in a corporate setting, who is part of the system, I am complicit in capitalism. I am Emily and I have talked about this a lot. It's like, how do you it is a weird struggle of, like, this kind of capitalist guilt of, like, "Oh, we have nice things, we have an I like my apartment, I like my central air," but at the same time, I recognize all the inherent kind of evil that comes with all of this privilege, that comes with these where we buy all of these things from, and so I think that's always a challenge too, is how to, where the system feels so all encompassing. How do you kind of break free of that? How can you live as an ethically good person? How can you promote better and more good while
Mhm.
still complicit within it? I don't know. Those are things I
Right,
think
and
about all
not
the time.
become a head case about it too, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that is really hard, right? You could like literally sit there and look at a product and maybe think about it for like 2 hours, and then like, the opportunity or whatever has passed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which then I think goes back to then burnout too at the same time, right? It's like, they always I say this saying a lot of people say this, "You can't pour from an empty cup," and I do believe it, it's important. There's a part of me though that's like, fuck you, you're so lazy and spoiled, you're fine, like, just go out there and do more." Like, you don't need another nap, Kate, like, there are people dying. But, at the same time, it feels like I have long stretches of time where I feel like I can do nothing. Like, I just feel completely depleted. And I was watching this video the other day of like, what's the difference between burnout and depression? And they were like
Mm.
kind of describing clinical depression symptoms versus burnout, but they're very similar in a lot of ways. There's a lot of similarities into it. So I wanted to go back to what you were talking about when how something that you've been focused on is prepping staff for burnout or for burnout prevention, and using things like self acupressure, breathing, yoga. What if someone is burnt out, are what are some kind of simple little things that they can do to help work through that or address it, driving to work or just like
Other
at
than
their
dismantle the
computer.
system.
Right.
Although,
Right? Which seems so
should we?
overwhelming. Yes. Actually, I was really kind of
Big question.
hoping that would happen, right? And that's what part
Yeah,
of I
I think
think
we
what I
all
was
were.
Yeah.
upset about was like, oh, that didn't happen and
Yeah, the corporations with all the
now we
power
have to
doubled down instead. It's like, of course they did, but what the fuck?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and
I
we
was
elected more
really
of the same in a way.
really upset. So what can people do? I mean, first is to acknowledge it, right? How much of that is the work is to acknowledge it and then to figure out who is our team, who are the people in our community besides the tools, right? Are there people that are part of that as well? Because I think what's so dangerous about the pandemic and may have led to depression, right, is that lack of connection. Because if you look at like, I mean, in the Eastern lens, depression can fall under many realms of which organs or disharmonies, but easily is the heart and like this isolation and disconnect from self, from spirit, right? And I think that's a lot of what I talk to Grandmaster Abdul about was just that this country has lost its spirit and this
Mm,
is part of the problem. And what is spirit, especially under this like Chinese medicine lens, and how is that connected to the mind and health? And um, so I would say first is to really acknowledge it, to figure out who your support system is, identify what your tools are. This idea that we cannot disconnect mind, body, spirit. I think that is really hard. Either people just want to address the physical. I want medication for this. Just take care of it. My back hurts. I'm only here for you because my back hurts and I don't want to talk about anything else, right? Or you
mhm,
go to like, oh, I'm in therapy. And yes, people should be in therapy for sure. I'm not saying not, but also like, are you addressing the physical issues as well? And then spirit. And I mean, you both could really speak to spirit because of who you interview and who you are and stuff like that. But is spirit something that people even talk about on a regular basis or can identify? It's hard actually. And people have differing views and maybe can't talk about it. I can't say I can identify it very well myself, but I feel it very strongly. And I think like all of those three need to be balanced and addressed in self-care
Yeah.
or whatever the term is now, like burnout prevention. But I do think there is often an imbalance in those, like it's like that trifecta. And so I would love for everyone to have more of a balance from all three or an understanding of it for themselves because it's very personal, right? Because of what people do for a living, they might not be able to take time off, right? Or
Yeah.
that time off means you're not getting paid.
Mhm.
And that really sucks. Can you afford that?
mhm,
Do you have savings, right? Can somebody help you out? Stuff like that. Or is it that your body is given out and you don't have a choice? You are forced to have this time out to like think about what you need to like heal and stuff like that. Um, I
Yeah.
don't know what else to say, but there are so many things. It is very personal, but it is universally mind, body, spirit.
mhm.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
Address
like
all the
these teachings.
pillars.
It's everything and nothing at the same time, right? Right.
It's funny though, I don't it's not something that I would normally think about. I feel like you break things down very clearly. Like, even just having us mention our tools, I was like, "Oh, I guess I haven't really ever sat down and listed out what are my coping tools, what are my tools?" And then
Right.
but I immediately kind of knew, "Oh, there are quote unquote better tools than others that I use." And then, oh yeah, duh, mind, body, and spirit should be those categories that I'm, focusing on equally for care. It's not,
Right.
I know that when I am not serving one of them or both two of them, I definitely feel it, right?
Yeah.
So that's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's very clear when you put it like that.
It's like I feel
Well, and
like
very
yeah.
simply, people could breathe. Sorry, I don't wanna cut
No,
you off, but
no, no,
people are not breathing, and we're not breathing with masks on, but, like, even before the pandemic, people are not breathing deeply, right? And that's where yoga and meditation or however you wanna, like, breathe, like, smokers are just breathing, but with smoke, right? That is actually, like, an interesting concept to think about. Like,
Mhm.
someone pointed that out to me, like, a decade ago, and I was like, "That's genius. You're right.
They're
We
taking
all
a
really
breathing
need to
break.
breathe." They're taking a breathing break.
They just
Yeah.
found a way
So
around it.
exactly. Sorry, I cut you
Oh,
off.
No, no, I was just
let's
gonna
do
say I
breathing
feel
breaks.
like it's the same thing as like when you make food and you taste it and something's wrong with it, you go through your list of like, does it need salt? Does it need like acid? Does it need more
Mm.
oil? Like does it need some fat or something like that? Like you go through like the list of like what thing is missing. Like could it be spicier? Could it like, is there something that like does it need to be hotter? Is it and it's the same with like assessing like I'm not feeling right, how to like what flavor am I missing? But it's like
I love
is
that
my physical
metaphor.
body okay? Is my mental health okay? Like, my emotional life and then also like my spiritual life, you know?
Oh my gosh. This is like your Epicurious and your Witchcast mind melding. I love it. It's like, what flavor are you missing? That's
I
so
need
beautiful. I
more
love that.
lemon in everything.
Always a little hit of acid. Um, this is like a little crazy, but would you be open, Mel, to leading us in just like a really short, brief little breathing exercise for our listeners in this moment where they're listening to us? I love the idea of interactive media. So
Yeah.
if if Emma, are you open to this?
Of
I just
course.
like thought of the idea. I was like, hey, you're right, because we literally have been holding our breath, and gosh, I mean, going back to the racial, kind of tensions that have always been right part of this country's uh foundation, but with Eric Garner, like I can't breathe. That's been like such a common and I think that's breath is so important, and then now you have a pandemic that's literally transmitted through breath, and so god, like what a compounding of course we're not breathing as
We're
a
not
country. That's
breathing.
so
And
hard,
when
yeah.
I like work with people, and I especially people who have a history or like, I'm having a panic attack, and I'm like, please breathe. Like you can't tell someone to calm down. They're not gonna calm
Right.
down. They're gonna like be like, don't tell me to calm down.
Right, because it
But to
doesn't access
tell
their
Right.
some
toolbox.
yeah, like but
Yeah.
to walk somebody through breathing
Mhm.
is I'm like, this is it. This is how you do it. Um, so very simply, it could just be, well, first you have to sit up tall, right? That in itself is a challenge, but I encourage you to sit up tall. But we can count a breath out, inhale for 4, and then exhale for 6. So just so you know, when you're breathing, you're actually expanding the rib cage, and the diaphragm, which is this thin muscle under the rib cage, is expanding like a balloon, right? And so we we tend to, when we hold our breath because of emotional reactions or issues and stuff like that, there can be a lot of tension in the diaphragm that we're deeply unconscious of. So the breath really can help to like move it around to help to release the tension. So when you inhale, that the diaphragm, which is under the ribs, like kind of expands like a balloon, and when you exhale, it deflates and the air pushes out. So the diaphragm rises up in the rib cage. So I think on a very basic level, people just don't even know about their diaphragm. So that's number one. It's really important. It holds a lot of deeply unconscious memories, emotions, all the junk, possibly. Right. So when you inhale, just think about this like balloon creating space. And as you exhale, your diaphragm releases, becomes more flexible, rises up. So that's why the exhale is longer, right? So that you can kind of work to release the diaphragm. So we'll do that together. So we're going to lengthen the breath. Think about like your breath. How many counts is your inhale? How many counts is your exhale on a regular basis, right? Or when you're doing whatever. So it's really important to lengthen it to get more oxygen in, to help increase circulation, to help with the diaphragm. So many reasons. And then also all the other subtle energy reasons that I'm not going to get into, but like this is yoga, right? Is about your
Mhm.
energetic body also. Same with Chinese medicine. Okay, so sit up tall and just try to breathe through your nose, right? That's also very important. Very smooth. Just observe the breath in through the nose and then out through the nose. And just notice the quality of the breath, whether it's kind of cool on the inhale and then more warm on the exhale as the breath leaves through the nostrils. And for a couple rounds, let's count it out together. So we're going to inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Do the best you can. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep going. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So keep going with this long inhale and even longer exhale. And start to visualize on the inhale, maybe a brightening or a focus, healing energy entering the body, expanding. And then on the exhale, you can just let go of anything stressful or stagnant. Just focus on relaxation. So keep going like this. Inhale, focus, brighten. And as you exhale, let go of what doesn't serve you anymore. One more like this. Inhale, focus, brighten. And exhale, relax. And then whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Sometimes it's important to take that moment to scan, right? How is the energy flowing throughout the body? Where is the breath? Where does it travel? And then how does this affect the mind? And there's a lot we can do. This is like a very simple thing you can do. It's just inhale for 4, exhale for 6.
Oh, that's great.
I
That was
loved
great.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
It's so
So
funny how
nice.
easy it is to forget to do that.
Mhm.
um,
Absolutely.
I work with a lot of people, right? Because like this is like the thing. I'm just like in the public, right? On the subway, retail. I could go on about it, but it's universal. It's like, are people breathe? Are we breathing? I don't think we're breathing. Like then I was like, this is very important to me. I need to really aid people in just breathing. So with the ear acupuncture, also, right? I really like to start people off with like, are you breathing? Because when people aren't breathing, they're more sensitive, or they can be more sensitive to the needles going in, especially if they're nervous about having needles
right.
in their ear. So I always like to like incorporate like, how are we breathing? Let me count it out. Once this woman, I was like, I had to work with someone who is someone brought me down to see someone who is actively detoxing off of uh, opioids, and so she was like shaking and just feeling all of these
Mm.
sensations, and I put the ear seeds in her ears, but I was like talking her through. I did the same thing but a little bit faster, and it was just inhale for 4, exhale for 4. And I thought I was boring her. I was like, "I'm boring the crap out of this lady." And so I stopped counting, and she was like, "Can you keep counting?" I was like,
Aw.
"Sure." So I was like, "Whoa, this was good." So there's something to focus on rather than what is going on. Like
Mhm.
that feels insane in her body.
Mhm.
Um, so just to keep on highlighting how important the breath is
Yeah.
Yeah.
in everything. Yeah.
Breath is life, and I think we forget that. I know I do all the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's a
that
way to
and
nourish yourself.
Mhm.
totally. Yeah, and just yeah, the visualization aspect too is like, I don't know, that reminded me, and I can't believe I don't breathe. I mean, I breathe all the time, obviously, but we'll do more breathing exercises because it's like there was one summer years ago when I was having like I was just like at the end of a rope. Like I was just like some like things were cracking all over the place. And I started doing just breathing exercises at lunch every day. And it's like I would go and I would get myself lunch and I would just sit and breathe. And it was that. I would just go like I would think of positive things coming in and like all the crap that I needed to get rid of going out. And it literally changed like 3 months of doing that changed the like course of how my life was going. Cause it just it matters. It
Wow.
changes how you feel and it changes like and just breathing and teaching your system that it's okay and you can slow down and you can breathe is like changes the way you feel in your body and it rocks.
Yeah, I'm really glad you had that experience because like we can't change certain aspects of our life, right? Certain stressors, the pandemic, stuff like that. So what can you change? What can you be more conscious of? And just even when you're talking about like going outside and being nature, that's breathing or being near trees. The trees are like the lungs of the earth. Like there's so many ways to look at this or even in the consciousness of 2020, I can't breathe. You're totally right,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's the
Mhm.
first thing you do when you're born, the last thing you do when you die. It's like last
It's
breath.
beautiful.
Um,
Yeah, and I think it also it brings us out of that fight or flight kind of synapse response, which I think a lot of us have been in some sort of form for
Yeah.
most of the pandemic. And and there's also freeze and fawn. I've been learning about the different. There's more than just fight or flight. Um, kind of stress, emergency stress responses. But I think because I think about what am I like when I'm not breathing? And I'm usually very manic and kind of frantic, and and cannot focus and everything seems super overwhelming, and I get panic attacks as well, and so it's like when I focus on breath, I'm forced to be in the moment. I'm forced to only exist in the now and not what has happened or will happen, which is where my mental health loves to dwell. So yeah, I think breath is, and it's simple. You can do it anywhere, anytime. So it's beautiful.
it's free, right? That's the
Yeah.
other thing. Like that's radical too. Like what
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
your healing tool is free and you already do it, but maybe you don't do it
Just
in
need
a
to
way
look
that
at
you
it
could be
differently. Yeah.
doing it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna give everyone for the holidays next year. I'm like, "Here's some breath." Wouldn't that be lovely? Should we draw a card? I
Yeah,
feel
I think
like
we should, you know?
eh, this has been so lovely. I'm so happy to have you back. I feel
Yeah,
like we
I'm
could
so
talk
glad we got
forever.
to catch up a little.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Of
totally.
course. Now, remind me, do you play with any sort of play with? Do you use any sort
Like,
of cards, oracle, or tarot, or otherwise, or we can draw one of ours?
um, I would love for you to draw one. I in like the time that I've known you have gotten more into cards because I was like, what is this? And
Yay.
also in talking to my Tai Chi teacher, he was really talking about archetypes and
Mhm.
just the imagery and how it's related to healing, which I took notes. I really need to read them, but I've been so sad about it. I just like can't even
Mm.
look at them. But after a friend led an Imbolc ceremony, maybe it was last Friday or the Friday prior,
Mhm.
I got the animal card deck, the animal
Oh,
spirit. I
cool.
pulled tiger. Wasn't
Ooh,
even
Hey!
like, and
and
I
it's
was
the
just
year
like,
of the water tiger.
yes,
I
like
was
let
gonna
us
say,
all be
yeah,
tigers.
hell yeah. And you're wearing a
Awesome.
tiger shirt today, right?
Yeah, because I'm really trying to like feel like we're doing this year.
I
All
love
of
We're going
it.
us,
all in.
you
Yeah.
too, we're all doing
Yes.
this year. Like, we're all gonna do all of the things and, like, but also rest and do it well and do it smart, right? And
Yes.
intentionally and beautifully and help
I love that.
the
Yeah.
the web of what holds us up. But I would love for you to hold a card. This is not my strength. I've just started to dabble, you know.
I'm so
Right.
excited for you, though. I love that you found something that you're interested in and that's speaking to you, and I love those animal oracle spirit decks. They're wonderful. So, that's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing is like I really could easily go down a rabbit hole with them. So I have to practice extreme restraint because I can now see like, oh, there's so many decks out there and they represent and speak to different aspects of yourself and like what you would like to see. And it's art. Like people are putting their art on the herb decks. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
cannot. Like I actually do
Yeah.
now that I think about it. I'm like, I really want these herb decks. I want to learn about
I
the
It
herbs.
is
it
easy to
is
get down the
a
rabbit hole, that's for sure.
slippery slope. Yeah, we both have accumulated so much. I spend so much money on decks and crystals and candles. I love it.
Exactly. So all this to say, like, you pull the card. That was my long way of saying, please pull a card. I would love that.
Emily, I think it's your turn.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I we did one of mine last time. I'd love for
Yeah, let me pull my decks out and let me pull my deck out.
pull your
I
deck
feel
out.
like so I've got the self-love oracle. I've got the
Mm.
Druid Craft tarot deck. I have Winged Enchantment, which is birds oracle deck, or I have my Moon Power tarot deck.
Do
I Melissa, you're the guest. You pick.
moon power because it was just the Lunar New Year, water,
Yeah,
tiger is very yin, like
love that.
Imbolc.
Excellent
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
All
Mm.
right, let me give this thing a little shuffle. Get a little ASMR of shuffling.
Where are you working right now, Melissa?
Um, so the place on the news is the first supervised injection site.
Mhm.
Where people are using
Yeah,
injection drugs but supervised. That's where I work. So we
that's
have a
That's
cool.
holistic apartment.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So I do
Wow.
that part time, and I was at the yarn store at Nitty City for a bunch of days a week, but
Oh
I've kind
yeah.
of decreased that so I could work on my other stuff. Like I would like to do more yoga, whether it's teaching privates, in-person groups, stuff like that. Kind of spend more time on that. Sending out like what I do to agencies, like nonprofits or corporates. If you have any, like, help me. Like I want to be able to come into and be like, hey, can I offer this like wellness
Yeah.
Yeah.
program to you so you could take care of your staff? Like that kind of thing. I'm trying to get that off the ground. Um, so yeah, I just want to work on like what I'm doing.
Ooh.
Or what did you get, Em?
All right. I've got the Five of Cups.
Ooh, I love that. Look at that image.
It's like a
Nice.
lady
What does
sipping.
it mean? Yeah, I feel like cups symbolize like
Um,
fertility, right? Like holding of
Cups
things,
can be
right?
like, yeah, like, or like your cup overfloweth, or like, yeah, holding. It can be
I
fertility. It
mean,
can be
yeah, it
like
is ruled by water, the
emotion.
cups over,
Mhm.
as a suit.
Hmm.
So just like the moon, just like,
Mhm.
it's emotions, feelings, fertility, creativity. Um,
Yeah.
I'm looking on Biddy. It's not great.
Yeah, it's so, but I was actually going to say it's kind of appropriate for talking about the last 2 years because it's like it's about things not going your way and like when bad things have happened and like dealing with bereavement and grief. And
Mm,
like, it's not the happiest card. It can also be like self-pity. Um but it's like loss and it's like, yeah, I mean it
disappointment.
yeah, regret, failure, disappointment, pessimism, or reversed personal setbacks, self-forgiveness, moving on. Um,
Yeah, this is interesting. It says forgiveness is vital with the 5 of cups, both of yourself and others. So, I think releasing yourself from that disappointment is such a important journey that all of us need to make. probably
Yeah.
many times in our life, right?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
so I
full
guess yeah.
circle, right? You started off with talking about like what did one do during the pandemic? Like, did I do enough, right? And so we're ending at this card where it's like forgiveness, like,
Yeah, and
but
moving
if
on to
there
the
is
next
not a
thing,
whole
yeah.
lot to do or to achieve, right? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
sounds kind of like all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
perfect. And shifting
Mhm.
that mindset to not only saying, "Oh, look at everything I've lost," but kind of finding, a way to move through it, right?
Yeah.
Moving through that loss, accepting it.
Yeah, like the
Right.
5 of Cups in a reading is sort of like feel your feelings and then move on. Like, it's time to let go, it's time to move forward. Let yourself forgive the situation and then move on. And that's like I don't know, it's kind of a bummer card except that it's kind of also like the right message for like we're at a new year, we're at a new like turning point hopefully
Mhm.
maybe sort of in its own way, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's okay to
Yeah.
like
Like through all that crap, right? You have this opportunity to figure out how you're going to move forward with that knowledge of all that crap.
right. Yeah.
So,
So,
Yeah.
5 of Cups. And it's a lovely card. It's a lady kind of like sipping on a glass slash looking into the glass. And she's got like
Yeah.
five
It's really
little
beautiful
cups there.
artwork.
Yeah, I'll take
We'll
a
post
picture
it on our
obviously
Insta.
for the Instagram.
So,
Um
Melissa, how can people find you if they want to learn more about you, if they want to hire your services or help
yes,
out or
please hire me. Um, well, my website is melissasoong.com, melissassoong.com, and my Instagram, mel_durga. And yeah, I guess those are the ways to find me. And I am teaching the Nada protocol. I'm a Nada trainer. I practice it around the city. If people want to come experience it, they can contact me. I teach yoga on Zoom through Science of Self yoga. Uh, there are many ways.
yeah. And
Many
did you say
ways.
you do one-on-one things also for like burnout and that kind of thing? That's what yeah.
Yeah, and I've been really trying to reach out or think about who I can talk to reach out to organizations or like groups or workplaces, just
Yeah,
to figure out. Yeah, and I want to make it like easy and digestible, very relatable stuff like
totally.
that. So
An all-around
you have no
doer of
excuse
things.
not to do it. Yeah, I just want to do all
doer
of
of
the things,
things?
but also rest.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
but
rest.
that is part of it. Rest is part of it. Well, you can follow us at Witchcast Podcast on Instagram or email us at witchcastpodcast@gmail and check us out at witchcastpodcast.com. And we're going to post all of Melissa's
Handles,
websites and handles. So you
etc.
can, yes, you can contact her directly. We'll post it on Insta as well as their website. Um, and if you like us, if you liked what you
Yeah,
heard, if you
don't forget to give
enjoy,
that little rating. Why not?
head on over to Apple Podcasts, give us a little 5-star rating, write us a little review. We just got a new review actually.
And we
Um,
loved it.
it was very sweet. We'll post it on our Instagram, but it means a lot to us and helps other people find us. So thanks to BDL0218 for that wonderful review.
Yeah, thanks PDL wherever you are. And until next time, hex
Heck
Hex
yeah!
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 'Cause it's Witchcast.
Yay!
Yay!
We
Cool.
did it.
Great.